Welcome to our community. We would love to hear from everybody here. So tell us in the comments, in the chat, where you are connecting from. We would love to hear from all of you. Welcome to this Seattle Power BC group. Um, some kind of blog introductions and announcements, and then going directly to the speaker introduction. So as you may know, here, welcome all the new members from this team. I can repeat these measures in every single meeting that we host. So this is a Seattle Power Business Group. We are all based on the kind of west side of Seattle, and we have another meetup in the east side of Seattle. Uh, who is this and what is this Seattle Power BI group? We are all Power BI enthusiasts. Some of us, we've been in this data analytics or business intelligence for a long time. We've been chasing a bunch of dreams in Microsoft side of things around data. Some of all of us come from different tools, from different frameworks. We end up doing a bunch of Power BI. Now Power BI is growing and keep growing as the data analytics teams. We heard a lot of noise around and buzzwords around Fabric. We heard a bunch of things around Copilot and all these kind of things, and that is coming huge from Microsoft in terms of what is the roadmap and strategy for Microsoft in terms of data analytics projects. So all of us, we are here to learn. That is the main goal of this meetup. This is not just to present, is always to learn, to open discussions, to have feedback, to share experience. So we invite everyone to kind of be part of this community. Open your mics if you have questions. Raise your hand if you want to present with all of us. So that is pretty much what we are asking for. Some of our ask for the community: be visible. If you're comfortable, open your mic, open your camera. We love to be friendly, be patient, welcome everybody, and be respectful, and pretty much open for any viewpoints and questions around all of this. Some community announcements. We have the meetup today. We are going to be scheduling the meetup for the next month. We are going to be trying to do more in-person community events. That kind of details is coming soon. We're going to be figuring out what is coming and when it's coming. So we are going to be announcing those kind of meetups. Some of them could be in person, some of them could be hybrid. So that is what's coming in terms of our Seattle Power BI group. And again, welcome, Avi. Thanks to be part of this meetup today. I remember the first time I talked with you. I don't know if you remember exactly that, but I had the very first call with Avi when I was in the process of becoming an MVP, and I called Avi. I scheduled a call with Avi from Uruguay, South America.
All right.
He directly picked up my call. He directly picked up my message, and he was right away joining me to connect with me. I was in the other side of the world, Uruguay, small country in South America, and he bring a lot of feedback on learning some path and what he was doing across bunch of Power BI, the learning process, share with me a lot of knowledge in terms of how was his own career path. So first of all, I would love to say thanks for that call that we did 6 years, 7 years ago or so. Um, some of connections from Avi. You can connect with Avi via LinkedIn, via the website, or his own YouTube channel. So again, welcome Avi, and thanks to support our community and bring this topic and bring this presentation for all of us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Okay, all right. I'm gonna share my screen. But yeah, Gaston, thank you to you. Thank you for the Seattle Bug group. And yeah, as Gaston was speaking, I was thinking about our topic here, navigating the AI revolution with Copilot, and I was thinking yes, it's like we have to navigate, right? Each one of us is kind of trying to figure out how to navigate. But of course, most of us who are here today have bigger responsibilities on our shoulders because it's not just us, our clients, our followers on LinkedIn and other platforms, we have to guide them as well. And of course, I've been really talking to my kids about this stuff, trying to get them to start using some of this. So, and that's important too. So yeah, so I'm just sharing kind of my journey of how I'm going through this. And I loved how Gaston framed it. Yeah, yep, we are Power BI and now AI enthusiasts, but we're learning together. So I'm certainly not expert and guru on either of those, Power BI or AI, but I do love sharing what I have learned, what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning, just so it makes if it makes somebody else's life a little bit better. That's great. So I want to kick it off by asking this question. It's like when you guys think of AI, what emotion or word comes up for you, if you don't mind typing it in the chat? Emojis are good too, I think. Excitement, overpromised. All right, yeah, Andrew. Yeah, let me ask Copilot. What am I supposed to feel? What? Yeah, curiosity. That's great. I love that emotion. That's great. Okay, hey, this is a pretty positive crowd. I'm loving it. We'll wait for a few more. One more for curiosity. That's great. Curiosity is one of my favorite emotions to lead with. I'll admit though that that's often not what happens. This is the set of emotions that often I'm struggling with. There was a heavy dose of skepticism at the beginning. I was like, yeah, this thing, yeah, sure, it's going to be another buzzword and stuff. And then, of course, there were bouts of fear. I was like, oh shit, it's all over. It's just taking over. What's the point, right? Our jobs are going to be gone. And then, oh, just simple overwhelm. Even if you get past the skepticism, past the fear, and then you step in and say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And then it's just so much out there, and you don't know where to start. And it can be paralyzing. Actually, each of these emotions can be paralyzing. Now, the funny thing is that, yes, I'm going through these right now, but this is the exact set of emotions that I went through when I started with Power BI. Now, even though, yes, I'm a Microsoft MVP now, I've worked with a lot of companies, mostly in US, but across the world as well. My YouTube channel across 10 million plus views. I've helped thousands through my Learn Power BI program, and that's been so gratifying, so humbling. So I'm thankful for all of that. But man, I started with that same set of emotions. And there's this line that I love, which is courage is in the absence of fear. So yeah, for me, the skepticism, fear, overwhelm doesn't go away, it doesn't turn off. So it's not the absence of those things, but can you still make progress? Can you still move forward? And of course, what drives me to move forward is that, hey, it's my duty and obligation to help others around me, right? Talked about my kids, but yeah, my clients, my followers, anybody that I talk to. So that's what drives me on. And that's what I would encourage everybody on this call to do. Yeah, those emotions are going to be there, but push through that because there's a distinct advantage in being an early adopter. We can position ourselves and help more people. And that's a great place to be in for a more successful career, business, a more successful life, right? I can't imagine anything better than that where you're helping others. So as I was coming into this, I was thinking about this for the Power BI pyramid, as I often see in the organizations that I work with. And yeah, hopefully you guys see would agree or see something similar. So I see a lot of Power BI users. So of course, this is not a new client. This is somewhere where they have deployed Power BI already. So they have deployed Power BI, and they could be like 1,000 Power BI users. So a lot of people using the Power BI reports, and that's great. That's what Power BI is about, putting it at their fingertips, using the mobile app, all of that sort of stuff. Just make it easy, right? None of that BS of Excel file report, sales report version 2.37 floating around in email. That's just gone, right? So that's the users. But then we have the power users. That's interesting. So these are, and when I'm working with an organization, and I'm sure you are too, it's easy to spot these. These are the eager beavers, right? These are the ones who jump up and ask questions in the class and they follow up and stuff and say, hey, I'm doing this. Can you help? They're trying things out. They're creating reports. They're tinkering with it. That's great. Some of them, it's yeah, definitely creating reports. Some of them may tinker into kind of modeling a little bit as well, but that is really the domain of that next level, which is the creators. Ooh, now these are the Power BI model authors. And anybody who's done Power BI knows that's where the magic is. It's in the model. So they are designing the data model, they are connecting to data sources, pulling it in, cleaning up the messy data, defining the DAX measures, maybe doing some visuals, but certainly from that point on, other people can take on and do that stuff. But there's a lot of power in that when you go from, a mere user to a power user to a creator. And that is what I expect is going to happen with AI as well. And again, it's not good or bad. And I know it's showed as a pyramid, but we each have to find what works best for us. If we look at a company, even in this group, maybe for some of us, being a user is absolutely the place we want to be. And that's great. But for some of us, becoming a power user would just give you more advantage, would let you be better at your role, which would let you help more people. And for some, and for another set, maybe becoming a creator. Whoa, that's fascinating. Now, I know I'll admit I have really loved that on the Power BI side. And I'm curious. I love that emotion that you guys said. Curious to see how this turns out. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of run through the basics. Some of it maybe you will be familiar with, and that's okay. That will be like reassuring. It's like, yep, great mind thinks alike, think alike, or something. I was like, yeah, I got that. I'm doing that, so I'm good there. So let's start at kind of the user level. And I will start with what I've been telling my kids. Let me see if I have my phone app on here. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see. So that's the first thing that I told my kids that get Copilot on your phone. I think I do have the ChatGPT app as well. But if anybody has not used Copilot at this point, man, you got to put that on. So that's the only thing I'm asking my kids. They're busy in their lives, and my daughter is in ninth grade, and she cares more about her friends, and my son's first love is soccer. So they got all that going on. But I'm like, no, 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 get the Copilot app, get the Copilot app. So that's what I would say to everybody. Get the Copilot app. I think this is phenomenal. Once you start using it, you'd realize that how far behind everybody else is to Microsoft in some aspects. And one of that is the voice recognition. So normally on my phone, I'm just talking to the AI. So I'm hit this microphone right here, and then I'm just talking to it, and it speaks back to me, and then I say something else. And this is great. I can use it on the run. I often do that. Even at home, I love using it. And I think once you start talking to AI, it becomes so fluid. I love that mode of interaction. And once, of course, my kids hear me a lot talking to AI, so hopefully they're like it's rubbing off on them. It's like, yep, yeah, this is good. But once my daughter said that, do you really need to give it so much detail? Because I hadn't realized that. Yeah, I mean, I do talk to it like as if I were a human, and maybe it doesn't need that much detail, or maybe it does. I don't know, but I love talking to AI. So I think that's a great place to start, getting it on your phone. And of course, now I think with the updates, everybody has ended up with the Copilot on desktop as well. I have the Copilot icon in the corner, which I can launch, and so in a panel. And of course, I often use Copilot in here as well. Now, I'll admit, if anything, I think not always, but often, if anything, the licensing is Microsoft's Achilles heel. it's sometimes I remember one MVP made a joke that you need a PhD to figure out licensing. And yeah, I mean, between Power BI licensing and the Power Automate and now Copilot, it's hard to keep things straight. So I'll just share what I have. So of course, Copilot essentially is free. Anybody can go use that. The app is free, and the app does have both GPT-4 and GPT-4 Turbo mode right now. I don't know about the 4.0 thing that came on. Maybe it'll show up as well. So that is great. That lets me use GPT-4 pretty much for free. So that's you would get it out of the box. Now, if you're a personal user, let's switch command. Then I think you can get Copilot Pro. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this is interesting because Copilot does have this quick switches of switch to a personal account and switch to a work account. And the same thing is there on the phone app as well. I think I like it. I'm still trying to figure it out. Um, I like that I can keep kind of my work stuff and personal stuff separate, but the challenge that it creates is that oftentimes, at least in my life, I mean, I don't work for a company anymore. I run my own business. That the line is blurry, and then I end up with things in two places and I can't find. So anyway, so this is kind of the personal, and for this one, I have signed up for the pro. I'll admit, actually, I just have the trial right now. So but you don't need that. I think you can use that without it. So yeah, just to show you the interface, you can see my past topics are here. So yep, I use this quite a bit, quite a whole lot, and I love the microphone icon. So I just like hitting the microphone and talking to AI. That's often works better. And what else? There is the notebook, which I am playing with. That is an interesting idea. So notebook is for like typically if you imagine if you're writing like your thesis or something big. I mean, I'm not going to write a thesis, but sometimes I'm writing a long form article. It's going to be 1,000, 2,000 lines, or maybe the script for a full video or something like that. Something. So it just gives you a lot more room. I think the length of the prompt is much bigger than the general one. So yeah, that's the notebook. Play with it for sure. I've used it only sometimes, but yeah, I have found it useful. I get the scenario where this is, and I certainly struggled with that when I was using ChatGPT when I was trying to write something big. It didn't quite work. So there's that. And then, of course, Designer is just mind-bogglingly incredible. It's just so far ahead. You try creating an image in ChatGPT, then come back and do it in Designer. It just blows you away, not just the image creation, but what you can do after that. Now, I'll admit that there is, uh, uh, um, we feel that people should be a little bit careful because if you do use messaging images in your PowerPoint presentations or in your LinkedIn posts, I'm a little bit concerned that there's going to be a glut of images which will look AI created. And I think that's where AI is at right now. It does create great images, sometimes like, whoa, wow, that would have taken me hours if I would have even cared to do it that way. But they still have a little bit of AI touch, like you can see it's not like a natural photo. So for this one, my first instinct was for this presentation to hey, all images should be AI created. But yeah, I just stayed away from that. I mean, this is a photo. This is a photo, and it looks like a photo. It just doesn't look. Yeah, AI doesn't create a list. So yeah, so you can use it. It's a great tool. Definitely try it out. Be the early adopter, but yeah, a bit of caution there. The other stuff I haven't used, Vacation Planner is a great idea. I did use ChatGPT a whole bunch for planning. We went to Vegas and did Red Rock Canyon and Death Valley and all that. So man, ChatGPT, AI in general, I'm saying it's really helpful for vacation planning. So you can try all that. So okay, so let's come back here And I'll mention ChatGPT. I know the title was Copilot. Now, Copilot under the hood, it does use a ChatGPT, but it's really interesting to use ChatGPT on its own. And one thing that I've noticed is that the responses now for generative AI, if you ask it the same question, exact same prompt, it's not deterministic, right? You're not going to get the same response. It's not like Google or anything, like the search results. So I get that, but oddly, I have felt, maybe it's just my perception, that the responses in ChatGPT are a little bit better. Yeah, so I can't shake it off. Yeah, anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, they're supposed to use the same engine. So I do use ChatGPT quite a bit. That's the one that I started with. Copilot kind of came later in my life. Of course, in real life as well, they release it later. And I do have the ChatGPT Pro subscription plus, whatever they call it, and I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think you need both. If I was starting out right now, I'll probably just go to Copilot, just use the free version and push it as hard as I can. Cool. Any questions so far? Any thoughts? Do folks generally have the Copilot app on their phone? Just raise your hand on camera or the virtual hand. Just so curious. Okay, yeah, Gaston does. Yeah, folks. So if you don't, God, I mean, install it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it, guaranteed. All right. So we talked about ChatGPT, and I think there is a reason Google is really nervous and really scrambling because I often, for a lot of scenarios, find myself using it as a better Google, and I think it is. And again, just the fluidity. Just you got to try it. And of course, I showed you my chat history. Most of that comes from well, where did that go? Yeah, most of that comes from my phone, and that's the truth. I mean, we spend more time with our phones, and it's yeah. I mean, especially I'm running around, taking my daughter to dance class, this that. Yeah, so and there's a whole bunch of stuff. God, some of it may be slightly embarrassing, but yeah, once I was trying to learn Spanish, I kind of saw that scroll by 5 Spanish word for beginners. There was one earlier, which camping at Shishi Beach, whatever's going on in my life, I'm coming here. I talked about Vegas vacation, so and I think that's a good scenario. You're gonna enjoy that. You're gonna, I do like it, and I really think it's better than Google. One thing that has followed it from Google are ads. So folks, yeah, I mean, if you know what they say, more things change, the more they stay the same. I think people kind of enjoy ChatGPT. As far as I know, doesn't have ads. At least I don't remember seeing it. But boy, there are ads galore in Copilot, especially on the mobile one. I mean, I ask it a question, it gives me a response, but then there's a bunch of ads, and oh, well. Anyway, it is what it is. They got to make money somehow. All right, so that was the starting level. Let's talk about power users, and I'm going to talk about a few scenarios. Again, this is just kind of my experience how we're using it. The one that's given is meetings. Right. So if anybody is not using that, oh my God, you're gonna love this so much. So the truth is that all of us, we do spend a fair bit of time in meetings. So for me, I do a little bit of consulting. So I'm meeting with my clients. Sometimes I'm meeting with potential clients. I have those meetings, and then we do live Q&A calls with our students or Power BI community. We have those meetings, and then we have our high level group, it's called a mastermind, where essentially I'm guiding people, coaching people to leave their 9 to 5 jobs, become independent Power BI consultants. And those are that's the group that I meet most often with. Not all of these meetings, but most of these meetings are recorded, or at least transcribed. So frankly, I'm not a huge fan of recording. I don't really care about recording. Oh, actually, yeah. So for our members in a consultant program, yes, those who can attend the meeting, they want to watch the recording. But I really care about the transcription. and obviously, if you record a meeting, you get the transcription as well. So let me show you. Let me see if I can pull it up. Um, yeah, let's go to this one. So this was meeting with my teammate Robert. And yeah, we meet usually twice a week. And I just want to show you. So again, if it's transcribed, so I'll admit before I had Copilot and everything, what I was doing was I was transcribing my meeting and I was plugging that into ChatGPT to get the meeting summary or action items or follow up or anything like that. But now with Copilot, it's a little easier. So usually we don't record it, but this time we did record it. Now, if you do record it, then you get this stuff, which is really, really cool. You can see that at least in this meeting, I was hogging the microphone. Robert wasn't saying that much. Um, Hopefully that's not a trend. So you get that. And of course, you can imagine a more interesting meeting. Maybe if we had our Pro Plus consultant program members there, often there are like 10 people on the call, then you can see kind of where every speaker spoke and stuff. And look at this. Boy, this really blew me away. It tags and look at this, it's color coded. It's like color coded. What is it doing? Like, yeah, you can kind of hover and you notice that it's lighting up, and you can of course jump right to that and talk about that section. So yeah, so topics is great. Chapters, I don't know. Oh, actually, chapters. We created chapters based on meeting data. Okay, so yeah, earlier this I didn't see this happening. I thought chapters were created manually, which I think you can later on, but it did create automatic chapters, so pretty cool. And I don't know if they're a one-on-one relation with the topics or not, but anyway, so that's interesting. It already has kind of the meeting notes and so forth, and follow-up tasks. So this just gave it to you, gave it to us by default. But of course, the best part is that you have Copilot at your beck and call. So let's see, I'm gonna recreate. So yeah, so let's try this again. So I had this big meeting and I could look at the meeting notes here, and then this says, oh, you talked about Power BI conference, and I can just come in and say, hey, give me more detail. Tell me more. So you can query it. It's I don't know. I don't know. I can't describe my joy of like that I'm able to do that. And it just scans through that and does that. So a lot of times, so again, we do a fair amount of meetings with our students, with our members in the consultant program. And sometimes I find like, oh yeah, well, we talked about this. I remember having to go and pretty much scan through like an hour and a half recording to find my answer. And now this just makes it so much easier. I've learned to be a little bit patient with that. So yeah, so it comes back and it's like, yep, yeah, so okay, it got that wrong. It's not July 2021. It's actually October 2024. It's okay. Hey, AI makes mistakes. Uh, da, da, da. Yeah, I guess that's what we talked about, right? And of course, you can do other things. I think I came back and said, list action items, and then it did this was really good. Like it got really specific, it says, hey, LinkedIn promotion, some good missive opus, yeah, so lots of interesting stuff. So meetings are a great starting point, right? So in Power BI, if you follow me in Power BI, I talk about the Shining Beacon project, which is, I feel, is really important to select the right project. And we have this essentially, you want to go after the low hanging fruit. More bang for the buck, right? Low effort, great rewards. If you're going to start in the Power User setting, start with meetings. Make sure they're transcribed, and then you can go from there. Based on what kind of licensing you have, you can just use Copilot. But if it's transcribed for a long time, the way I was using it was I was just attaching the transcript to ChatGPT and asking it whatever questions I needed to ask. Cool. Any questions on this? Yeah, wow. Did Satya actually say that? Microsoft is a Copilot company. I think he did. I remember when he was talking about cloud and cloud first. He's a bold leader. I've admired him.
Yeah, I can't remember which meeting it was. It might have been at the beginning of one of the big conferences, but he said it on stage. He said Microsoft
Yeah.
is the Copilot company. When I saw that visual that Andrew shared, I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that Copilot was everywhere. No idea.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Uh,
I'll say, man, I
y-
mean, I was talking about the emotions. I mean, the amount of overwhelm looking at visuals like that triggers in me. I'm like, shit, I'm good. But anyway, it's
I'm
powerful.
never going to keep up.
Yeah. All right. Was somebody else
quick,
saying something? Sorry if I
yeah,
cut
quick
you off.
question, Gaston here, Avi. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, did you experience something around the latest presentation? I think it was this week that OpenAI team percent of the new GPT 4.0, and suddenly Microsoft announced the playground on the same model in the Azure OpenAI service. So,
Mm,
any thoughts around that? Because I saw a couple of demos from that team on the new GPT 4.0, and it's
yeah.
blew my mind. That is amazing.
Yes, so I have heard, I haven't gotten a chance to dive into 4.0 and kind of try it out myself. I have heard bits and pieces here and there. I didn't know about the Microsoft reactions. I'll go check it out. I think it is a brave new world. And again, I don't know about everybody else, but man, that fear, skepticism, overwhelm. Skepticism is pretty much receded by now, but yeah, the overwhelm was like, what does this mean? What is it going to be? That plays in a big way. I I mean I know how I look at Power BI. I think Power BI is amazing, but I'm always the kind of guy I put people before tech. And at least with Power BI implementations, the more I've seen for having a successful implementation, it's probably 80% people. 20% tech. You can be this so smart in Power BI, know everything, and have a disastrous implementation. You can put in a lot of work for 6 months to a year, build something, build them the Taj Mahal in Power BI, but it won't be used if you didn't focus on the people part. So that's kind of what I've experienced. Um, or maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my style. But that's how I'm looking at AI. I'm like, yeah, how can I help people? Hmm. Yeah, but it is definitely mind-boggling. Yeah, boy. Yeah. So I remember if anybody, I did a post on LinkedIn about the Microsoft Vasa thing, which generates videos. And I remember when I first saw that, I'm like, shit. I mean, I shouldn't bother to create videos anymore. What's the point? Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I want to keep the optimism, keep the faith, and yeah, just focus on kind of the people. But hey, good tip. I'll go check out the Microsoft Playground thing you mentioned. So this one has been interesting. So content creation, and folks, so we were talking about user, power user, and creator. And I think that applies in a big way to social media as well. And And that's the thing, right? Think about it. Think about the ratio of people who are on LinkedIn and who just consume, scroll. Think about that for any platform, TikTok, Instagram, I don't care, right? The number of people who scroll and consume versus the number of people who create. And even if you're not even that good at it, and I know sometimes people feel that, but it's like, oh yeah, I don't know what to do. Doesn't matter if you're out there creating, that gives you an advantage. So I do encourage people to get active, to create, to share the journey. You don't have to be an expert. I've seen messages from people who's like, yeah, Abhi, but what is it that I know that others don't? And you don't have to think that way. Just share your journey. If anything, if you go to my profile, man, I've been learning AI from the scratch, and I've been just sharing that, and some of it does feel stupid. It's like, man, everybody would know this, but I don't know. I'm just, I think that makes it valuable, keeps you on top of people's mind, and that if you're looking to grow your career, that can be one of the best things you can do. Imagine if you stay on top of the mind for whatever your network is. Let's say you connected to 500 people, 1,000 people, 1,500 people, if you can stay on top of the mind. So I would encourage everybody to, yeah, just dip their toe into it. Just whatever journey you're going through right now, just sharing that. That's one of the easiest ways to stay inactive. But man, it can take me sometimes 30 minutes to create a post. It shouldn't maybe, but that's where we're trying to work with AI, and this is still experimental for us. The challenge for me is that I don't want to lose the human tone. I need it to sound like me. I cannot compromise that, right? It cannot sound like an AI. By the way, I mean, if you guys have noticed, I didn't get a chance to ask the Microsoft team, but if you read the Power BI updates, the monthly updates, the tone has shifted to like an AI tone, and maybe I'm imagining it, but I couldn't help but shake it that some of the new announcements felt more AI than human. So for me, that's not okay. I want it to sound like me. So it's been a bit of an experiment of how do we do that? How do we do that? And the best thing that I've found is to essentially give AI my words. So, one thing you saw already for the meetings, the transcription, that is powerful. And that is powerful for this as well. So whatever is in my head, let's say I have this theory about uh, how um, how AI is like a black hole, right? But what humanity believed for a long time was that black hole just suck everything in. But the science fiction, not science fiction, you know, yeah, science nerds and stuff, especially if you love Stephen Hawking, you would know that that's not true. It seemed that way, that they suck everything in, but no, they dissipate a huge amount of energy in the universe as well. So I think people are missing that. It's going to suck up all the jobs. But yeah, now what's interesting is that where that dissipation happens. So if you understand that, that's how AI is going to work. All right, I'm not going to go into that. You get what I'm saying, right? I have this idea in my head. I say, yeah, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. How do I turn it into an article? Earlier, if I would sit down and start typing, man, this one can probably take me a few hours to write. But now what I would do is I would just speak to AI in a stream of consciousness. And that stream of consciousness is really important. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to content creation or writing anything creative, even an email, is that you edit as you write. Big mistake. And again, I don't know why we do it. Like, email. I mean, I still do that. Like email, I would type in. I'm going to write a full email with like, I don't know, a few lines, bullet points and stuff. But I would write an email and then write one line and then I would like read it again and then tweak it. That is not the best way to write, right? Certainly not an email and not an email and certainly not for creating content, any kind of content, right? So stream of consciousness is important. The best way that I've found. So frankly, one of my big problems is that when I'm talking to some of these AIs, I pause because I'm thinking, and then they stop listening. And then I speak on for 5 minutes, and I'm like, shit, it didn't take any of those notes. So that's been a problem. The best that I've found is I do a meeting with myself. So I join a Teams meeting with myself. I call it Transcript Central, and I join and it's got the transcription on, and then it just transcribes whatever, and I can have 5 minute pauses. Doesn't matter. I mean, I can be quiet for like 10 minutes out of 15, and then I just put like a text note. Oh yeah, cool. This is an AI talk. AI ate my job. I don't know. So it's something about that. So you can see like different ideas. Sometimes they're business ideas. So this is like sales funnel. I'm focusing on my sales and marketing approach for a consulting program. Sometimes a Power BI video. Could be anything, right? But I speak it in and it gets into words, and then it becomes so much easier to process it. Then I can give AI and say, hey, and sometimes what I've done, there was one concept, I can't remember what I was talking about, something about um, maybe a new program that we're thinking of launching around consulting, how to find a client in 60 days using LinkedIn, something like that. And I had these web of ideas around it, and then I transcribed it, put a ChatGPT and ask it to summarize. ChatGPT, Copilot, same thing. And then when it came back to me, it was like my words and ideas, but I was like, whoa, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so it's brilliant. Usually, I mean, 80-90% of the time, this has worked really well. Okay, let's keep going because I do want to get to the last part. So again, the important thing isn't this specific stuff. Like you may not care about content creation, and that is a okay too, right? You may not care about this, but what's more important is that every task that you're doing, you start examining that, doing that individually, or tasks you're doing as a team, or your team is doing. You start looking at that, and hey, can AI assist? How can AI assist? And then experiment. And folks, we're all in that early adoption stage. So half of the time, 1/3 of the time, maybe it's going to blow you away. You're going to, whoa, this is amazing. 1/3 of the time, it's going to be like, man, yeah. 1/3 of the time, it's going to suck. And it's like, dude, I just wasted 30 minutes trying to talk to ChatGPT. I could have done it faster. But that is the role of the early adopter to sift through that. So yeah, man, that's what I would encourage. Just keep playing, whatever you're doing. But let's get to the fun part, which is the creator. So we understand this for the Power BI sense, right? So everybody's using reports, lots of users are using report, but man, if you know data modeling, if you can do that, if you can bring in query editor, connect to data sources, it just gives you another level of power. And I think that's kind of there for AI as well. So that, of course, is Copilot Studio. Now, I think you can get a trial. I'm pretty sure you can, which is good because yeah, it is a little bit pricey, I think. So if it wasn't for the trial, it'll be hard for me to start using it. But this is the creator level. So again, this looks very different. So anybody imagine people who use Power BI reports? You drop them into the Power BI desktop, start showing them the model, the query editor, they'll feel a little lost. And I was too. I dropped into Copilot Studio and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not so sure. But I love the age we're in. And hey, I'm a non-techie. I was an Excel jockey cranking out Excel reports in Microsoft and before I discovered Power BI. But the only reason I could do that is because Power BI is based on this whole no code or low code approach. And and I as far as I'm seeing, Copilot Studio is similar. No code or low code approach, and it is accessible for what I would say a non-techie business user like me. So if non-techie business users like me can do it, then if you're more of a techie, then you're gonna be great, right? But okay, so yeah, you guys, everything good so far? I'll just give you a quick tour of the Copilot Studio. Okay, awesome. So again, so this is the creator mode, so it looks a little bit different, but I think it's all good. And let's just start a new Copilot. So you drop in here and you say new Copilot. You give it a name. We call it the bug in honor of a group. And this part is really interesting. So you can enter your website. So I'm going to say learnpowerbi.com. And by the way, we don't have a lot of content on our website, but seeing this, I'm like, man, we got to change that. So of course, in the past, we've been used to publishing content just on LinkedIn and YouTube, but this is making me rethink all of that. It's like, boy, how do we do that? Okay, so it's gonna set that up. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. I will say I found the animation kind of cute. Interesting. If it does take too long, I'll try to go back and just work with the Copilot we already have. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's all I did. And I'm gonna come in here and say, what's the best way to learn Power BI? Now, the thing is that this is not your regular Copilot. This is like the custom. And of course, I gave it this website, and we can see here that it is referencing that. It's referencing articles from my website. So this is our main Learn Power BI training program. This is the advanced program and so forth. And it's giving an answer based on that. And it's slightly off. Like it's weird to start by talking about the advanced. It would have been nice if like a human, if I were answering it, I would say something. Hey, if you're a beginner, start here. If you're advanced, start here. If you are advanced enough to become a Power BI consultant, then check this out. That's what I would say as a human. But still, man, the capability kind of blows me away. So that was just out of the box. And I'll show you some of the Copilot. So that what I just said, that hey, if somebody asks about learning Power BI, I want to have a very specific response. Of course, you can program that. So let's see if I can show you another Copilot that has spent a little bit more time working with. So it is all based on topics, right? So topics, that's right here. So you go on topics and you teach it about that. And I love this AI age because I don't have to be very precise. Like, for example, I didn't actually have that one built out where they're looking to learn Power BI. But maybe you can just create that. Yeah. So create topic. And oh, by the way, you can also use Copilot to create a topic that I'll just do it from blank. So I go in here and phrases, and the thing is that these phrases are approximate. So it's just to give it an idea. So I can just say that learn Power BI. Let's try that. How to learn Power BI. How to master Power BI. And it doesn't have to be precise, right? So that's the magic of AI. It's not like only on these specific exact phrases this topic is going to be triggered. AI is going to read the intent. So hey, I'm like, I don't know if they say something different, like I'm looking to study Power BI or a slightly different word. AI, well, in most cases, is going to be smart enough to say, oh, okay, got it. It's a learning study, pretty close. I'm going to give you this. And then, of course, we can come in here. And now we have a lot of options. Sending a message is the simplest. That's mostly what I've picked with so far. Adaptive cards are cool because they can be multimodal. You can have a video in there. That would be so cool, actually. So it'll show some text and there'll be a quick video where I don't know, I talk to them about something and say, hey, congratulations on your decisions to learn Power BI. It's the best thing to do. Great time to learn. I don't know what else, right? So right, so yeah, so let's just see, send a message, and here I can actually type the message that I was speaking earlier, which is, hey, if you're a beginner, check this out. If you're advanced, check this out. If you're ready to become a consultant, check this out, right? So that's the topics. And yeah, I'll leave this for now. Now there are system topics as well. The most important of them is the conversation start. I've been going back and forth on this. I've been trying to figure out that should it be like a human thing? Say, hey, how you doing? What's up? Or it should show a list of choices, which is more chatbot like, more like a chatbot. There's other stuff. There is plugins, or you can collect kind of leads. So yeah, imagine this is sitting on my website and this chatbot, and people come in and maybe they ask about learning Power BI, and then I can say, hey, if you give me an email, I can send you more information. So you can collect leads that way. Yeah, those are like kind of entities, so it knows what an email is, so you can ask them for the email. What else? Oh, and then of course the plugins. So for plugins, if I ask them for an email that I can check in my system if they're already enrolled in one of my programs, and respond that way. So if I already know that they're enrolled in my Learn Power BI program, I can respond to them differently and so forth. So yeah, so guys, I'll definitely encourage you to explore here. I'll tell you one other idea that we have, and I actually haven't tested it out, but I'll show you this one. So this Learn Power BI Copilot. So you know how I pointed it to a website? You can also upload files. And what we have done here is we have uploaded the transcript of our complete Learn Power BI program. So one challenge that we have is that people sign up for a Learn Power BI program. So by the way, this is how the programs look like inside. So Learn Power BI, this is pretty compact. This is maybe 10 to 12 hours of training, so not that much. And then Advanced, it has got a lot more content. And then there's a consultant program, which guides them to leave the 9 to 5, become a consultant. So that has its own training. But imagine if we could build copilots for each of these. If you could feed this information, that's what we have done. Like if you feed the whole transcript, then people can maybe use the Copilot to guide themselves through the program. Advanced program is pretty extensive, so they can come in and say, hey, I'm looking for disconnected slicer. And it'll say, oh, go here. They don't have to look through anything. They don't have to reach out to us. They can just ask the Copilot. A consultant program, I don't know, I always talk about, so they can say, hey, I need tips on LinkedIn. Where do I go? And it can give them that or something. So it can make it use the program better. Again, so many possibilities, super excited, but yeah, I mean, man, stepping in the creator mode is kind of cool, and I'm looking forward to that. All right, so
Avi, I know we're almost out of time, but you got some
yeah.
questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to check those out.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you my last message, and then I'll be happy to stay on for questions. So folks, get in there. And again, there's going to be 3 sets of things you're going to find. Sometimes it's going to be, shit, that was a waste of time. I shouldn't have talked to ChatGPT. Sometimes it's going to be, meh, maybe I could have done it myself. Sometimes it's going to blow you away, but that is the role. Get into that role of early adopter, sifting through that, seeing what works for you, what doesn't, and then spread the message. There is one last thing that I'll share, which is, guys, that we did talk about the Power BI pyramid and the AI pyramid. And yes, we are familiar with that. But if you've done this long enough, then you know that these things come and go, and you have to keep climbing this pyramid again and again. And when I turned 40, I started kind of questioning that. I'm 46 now. I started questioning that. Do I want to keep doing that for the rest of my life? It can be pretty tiring, because to me, it started to feel more like a sand dune, less of a pyramid. I could never stay on top, and it was so hard to keep staying up. And by the way, it kind of gets crowded at the top. I checked on LinkedIn. There are 3.1 million people who mention Power BI in their profiles. Now, of course, all of them are not really experts, but it's still right. So yeah, this deck pyramid is hard. It's really hard to kind of stay on top. And I feel that there is a way to sidestep that. If you're curious about that, message me on LinkedIn. I'll send an article to you about that. But yeah, but for now, yeah, do go with Power BI. Oh, sorry, AI. Try to see where you land at. But yeah. All right. So let's see. Gaston, do you want to queue up the questions for me, or should I don't know which order to go in?
Yeah, Ross just mentioned a couple of them. First question was thoughts on Gemini 1.5 and the new ChatGPT 4.0, if you have any kind of insights on that.
Yeah. So Microsoft Vasa was the one that really shook me to the core, which is it generates videos which look like human. So with one photo. So you can give it one photo of me, just one photo of Avi, and then give it a text, and it'll make it speak it. And so that shook me to the core. Like, that was scary. ChatGPT 4.0, I'll say I'm more excited. The whole multimodal, I think that is a game changer. So I have experiences myself. So I started using ChatGPT, and I was typing back and forth with ChatGPT, and I was excited with that. But then I found Copilot, especially on my phone, and now I'm talking back and forth with my AI, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better. So yeah, so now if you can do video and other things in there, it just, so there's definitely promise. I'll say, yeah, so as I mentioned, overwhelm does get triggered for me for a lot of these, but yeah, you don't have to chase everything, stay on top of everything. Focus on finding use cases that work for you. That's going to be really powerful. And then turn around and share that with the community around you. Could be your family, could be your kids, could be your clients, colleagues, friends, whatever, right? So yeah, focus on that.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
The other question that we have with from Chris is you shared before with the Copilot Studio, uh, you provide a website and you're linking
Yes.
the contents to that. There's a way that the Copilot Studio can respond to something else, or is kind of the scope of the URL?
Good point. Excellent point. So I think the default setting is actually is not restricted. So what it does is does prioritize it. So it goes to the website first. But if you ask it about, I don't know, like if I obviously gave it learnpowerbi.com, if you ask something about a cooking recipe, yeah, it'll just go on the internet and do it. You can turn that off. And of course, I'm thinking for, I mean, imagine if I did this for a client, I built a ChatGPT bot like that, I would probably turn that off. Like, I mean, imagine if it's Chrysler website and then it starts giving you Toyota cars. Nah, you wouldn't want that. You was like, no, man, just stick to this. So good question there. Oh, I see Jackie's question there. I think that's a great idea. So folks, hey, learn AI with Jackie, I would be so happy. I mean, the more people in this call, if I see like 2 or 3 of like, hey, learn AI with me, it's absolutely that would be I would be delighted if that happens. And folks, whether you do the learn AI with me kind of thing or do something else, I will say that yes, start getting a little bit active on LinkedIn, and the easiest way is to just share your journey. So yeah, so Jackie, more power to you. I'll be following you. Make sure we connected. Yeah.
That is great. So we are going to be closing this meetup. I appreciate the time today, Avi, to give us all those insights, all kind of learning process around AI and every kind of topic that you bring to the table. That was so great for this team. So uh, thanks again, and happy to connect. Bring up all your questions, insights. Raise your hand if you want to be part of our Seattle Power BI user group, and sharing experience and learning process with all of us. So thank you again.
Thank you for hosting. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.